Ladies and gentlemen, the American German Bulldog Nation, I'm continuing my series of interviewing as many of the Durrani victims who would like to be interviewed. I would like to do a caveat. Many of the victims do not want to be interviewed because it's very difficult and painful for them to do so. Some of them don't want to share the inner workings of their lives and whatnot. And not only that, just driving and getting to the studio is sometimes difficult. But this warrior right here, she's able to make it. Her name is Brenda Shell. She was one of the first ones who contacted me. Brenda, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Brenda, let's start with this.
Okay.
How did you end up seeing Dr. Durrani?
Well, that's kind of a long story.
Make it short.
Okay. I'll give you the short version. I worked 10 years in pain, and my sister-in-law, well, actually my nephew, was seeing Durrani for scoliosis. And she said, why don't you go see him? And this was when he was doing good things. He was a normal.
You thought he was?
We thought he was, yeah. And so I went to see him, and he said, I can get you out of pain. And I said, great. So he explained to me what he was going to do, because I had scoliosis at 16, and I had...
For those of you that don't know, scoliosis is a curvature of the spine sideways. Go ahead.
Right. And I had a really
Kyphosis is curvature of the spine front and back. Go ahead.
I had a really good doctor then. But wear and tear, I mean, this was, well, I was 52 at the time when this was happening. So wear and tear, having a couple kids, I had 5 cracks in that fusion. And that's what was causing my pain. And he said, I can fix that. And I said, great. So he said, but you have to have a cardiac workup before I'll do it. If you don't do this, I won't do your surgery. I said, fine, I can do that. Everything turned out great. And he did get me out of pain. In 3 months, I was off all of the pain medicine.
Okay.
No side effects, nothing. But then about 2 years later, my left leg started going numb. Well, I had no reason to mistrust what he was telling me. He said that one of the screws had come loose, and if it came through my skin, I would be in big trouble. He said, we've got to go fix that now. This was in March of 2010. And I said, well, can't it wait till the school year's out? I mean, you know, I got 3 months off in the summer. Why can't we do it then? Oh, no, it's got to be done now.
Because you were a teacher.
Yes.
Yeah.
He said, it's got to be done now. I said, all right. I never taught another day. He said, you'll be back to work in 2 weeks. Never taught another day. Had to spend 2 years trying to learn how to walk again, and it's not pretty. I spent a year in a wheelchair, a year on crutches, and now I'm on a cane, and I'm never getting off that cane.
How many surgeries did you end up having with him?
In 2010, 3.
Okay.
I was in the hospital for 4 weeks, and at Drake for 5 weeks. And then at home, I went home on IV antibiotics for 6 months because I got spinal meningitis. He cut the dura in the second surgery that he was supposed to fix a blood clot. And in the third surgery, by that time I was...
For those of you that don't know, the dura is the part of the anatomy around the spinal cord. It's a soft area.
And he cut that, and so it got infected, and I ended up with spinal meningitis. And
that's bad news.
Yeah.
Did you go to anybody after Durrani to make yourself better?
Mayfield took me because, well, my son worked there, and I had
See a doctor?
No.
Okay.
He was just working with a doctor.
Okay.
And I had a former student that worked with Dr. Bowinski. She still works with him. And so both of them together got me in to see Dr. Bowinski. In fact...
Bowinski's really good.
Yes, he is. In fact, he called me at home and asked me if he had my permission to look at my file. And I said, you can look at anything you want to look at. Well, then he called me back the next night and said, I'm telling Denise, who was my former student, to get you into surgery as soon as possible. You need it now. Because I was getting to the point where I couldn't hardly walk to the bathroom by then. And so he went in and he He said, I can't fix everything, but I'll fix what I can. And what he did was he put the screws in the right angle, in the right spot, and he told my husband that my nerve bundle was absolutely cut in two.
Wow.
That's why this foot, my left foot, is numb. My toes are fixed like it's paralyzed.
Yeah, what is your current condition?
I think I'm doing pretty good for the shape I'm in, really.
What is the problem, if anything? Just pain?
Pain. I don't have.
Describe the pain the best you can.
Oh, gee. Some days it's like somebody is taking nails and driving them into each toe and the top of my foot.
What do you take for pain medicine?
Dilaudid.
Dilaudid?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I try to do a little different spin on each one of these, and I'm going to use this. I'm going to use you for this one. It just came to me. I am very blessed. I have incredible health. I am 60 years old. I'm going to make a point here in a minute, okay? I'm not bragging. I'm saying what I'm saying to make a point. I am 60 years old. Both my parents are still alive at 93.
Wow.
So I got good genes. I exercise. I take good care of myself. I eat right, take a lot of food, supplements, vitamins. And as I'm sitting here, I didn't play football. I do not have one single chronic ailment or problem, and I never have. As I'm sitting here talking to you, I have no issues. And I almost lost my arm to a MRSA infection. But the reason why I say that is this. Because of that, Brenda, I cannot stand anything that causes me pain. I can't stand a toothache. I can't stand an earache. Luckily, I don't get headaches, but I can't stand a headache. I can't stand the smallest of pain. And I've said this to my wife before. I've said it to others, and I'm going to say it to you. I cannot fathom what it must be like for you and every single one of the Durrani victims to have everyday chronic massive pain that you're battling to control and temper, that it's never going to go away. You live with it 24/7, 365. Mm-hmm. I cannot fathom what it must be like to do that. And for Ohio to have limitations of $250,000,
yeah,
and if it's permanent to a major organ, $500,000. So if you are like, Durrani got a hold of you when you were 30, and you got longevity in your family, and the most that you could get awarded by a jury is $500,000 for lifetime of pain and suffering. Mm-hmm. It's insane. I don't know how you guys do it, and I just don't know how you guys do it.
Well,
I guess it's just something you live with day by day, hour by hour, but I don't know how you do it.
It's not. Some days it's not easy. Now other days are good. I mean, you do have good days.
I mean, I know enough from interacting with you guys at support meetings, that some it's driven to suicide.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget this. There's so many great anecdotes in the book, and there'll even be more in the sequel. I'll never forget a woman asking me, she says, and I know you've struggled with this too, because when Durrani left, based upon the laws, now you didn't want to go too many more anyway, but still, because of the law, when you lose your doctor, mm-hmm. getting pain meds from a new doctor is a nightmare.
Yes, sir.
So you all suffered through that. But I'll never forget this one client. In fact, I sat at her deposition. I did her deposition. This was before I retired. And I remember her raising her hand in a support meeting and saying, I never forget it. She says, I can't get pain medicine anymore. And my only option, I think, the only option I see is heroin. What do you think about that? And I swear to you, I said to her, if I was in your shoes, because she was worried about the legality of it. Yeah. She was worried about, the effects of that. She thought that she could handle it, And I said, if I was in your shoes, I'd do whatever the hell it took, legal or otherwise,
I remember you saying that.
To get rid of, yeah, because you came to every meeting. And then what's wild about it is when she was deposed, and she asked me, she said, should I bring that up? And I said, hell yeah. In other words, some lawyers would say, well, that makes you look bad, you know. I said, no.
No,
you want to say that your pain was so damn bad that you turned to heroin.
Well, I'll tell you,
She did.
Before I had my spinal cord stimulator put in, I had days when I thought about it.
You smoke pot or take any marijuana or gummies?
Nope.
People, by the way, before it was legal to do for medicinal purposes, I know a lot of people did that, and I would too, man. I would. Yeah. I just, you know what? Life is hard enough to lay on top of that a chronic pain syndrome.
But you know what? When all this happened, our grandkids were little. They were 2, 3 when this happened. The oldest one was, and then we had one that was right after that. And so one day I was down there, and in the middle one, he was 2 at the time, was sitting on my lap, and we were watching TV, and the Life a Lot commercial came on, and he said, "Mama, you need to get that." And I said, why? He said, because if Papa's not there and you fall, which I fall a lot, he said, if you fall, all you have to do is push the button and somebody can come and help you. And I thought, there is no way a 2-year-old should have to worry about their grandma like that. And they still worry about me. And that young man is 15 years old. And I'm telling you right now, every time we are together as a family and we have to walk across the yard or a long way on a sidewalk, he comes to me and takes my hand. He doesn't care where we're at. He did it in front of his high school one day after a band concert and walked me to the car.
Oh, that's sweet. I don't want you to fall. Did you get one of those?
No.
A buddy of mine recently fell. And he lives alone, and he had a back surgery that went bad. He had a heart issue, and he fell and broke his hip. And he had one of those, thank God. Yeah. So anyway, all righty.
I'll tell you, I don't know what I would do if I had to live alone. I don't know that I could.
Well, Brenda, thanks for coming up. Are you up here to get your pain meds now? Because you come up once a month, or you didn't make a special trip for this interview?
No.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you, and we shall shoulder on, as we like to say.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming in.
You're welcome. I'll honestly tell you why I do keep my positive mindset is because I know that without God giving me direction and giving me the strength to do this, I couldn't do it. And there's another reason why. I know there's some that's committed suicide. And I'll tell you, there's 3 reasons why I can't do that. And they're named Logan, Owen, and Dylan. I can't do that. I can't. They would never understand. Even they're teenagers now. They would never understand why their grandma did that.
But despite your positive attitude and your God-given faith, your life has been completely shattered.
Oh, it has. It has. But I've never been a negative person anyway. Even before this, I was not negative. Okay? So, I don't know. I mean, yeah, everybody gets down. Everybody has bad days. And everybody's like, oh, woe is me. I gotta, go on. But you have to keep moving. And I can't do anything like I used to do. I probably can't do 90th of the stuff I used to do. And I hate that. That bothers me more than I hate that. I hate that my husband has to do most of the cooking and he's got to do all the yard work, because I would love to get out there with him, but I can't. And he knows it. With the fact that I know that all of us have been through a lot. More than we should have ever had to endure. But you have to keep going. You can't quit. Even on the bad days, you got to find something good to look at. Even if it's, your grandkids or your kids. You got to keep moving. You can't let Durrani win, because here's the thing. And you know, when all this first happened for 2 years, I was mad. I really was. I was mad. But then I realized one day that everything that I do and say and think, I'm going to have to stand before God and give an account of that one day. And I'm not going to let Durrani make me feel something and have to live with something and stand before God and give an account of that. I'm not going to let him do that to me. I'm going to let it be on him, because he's the one that did this, and he can do that. He can live that, and he can suffer for that. I'm not going to. Now, don't get me wrong. I still have a few days here and there when I'm hurting really bad and I'd like to strangle him. But you got to move on.
Right.
You got to forgive. And I know there's been a lot of people that say, how can you forgive him for what he's done to you? You just do. You just do.